We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports. We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Huge show in store for you tonight. It's funny to me. Ain't no questions this week about Brian Kelly from Notre Dame fans, Stephen A. Smith. Nobody has anything bad to say about Brian Kelly this week, today. I guess all of a sudden the administration at LSU, per Stephen A. Smith, feels better about Brian Kelly now. All it took was going down to Gainesville and clapping some Gator cheeks. Funny what winning does, isn't it? Funny what winning does. Nobody talking about Jayden Daniels. Pull him, is what you were saying last week. This game, ladies and gentlemen, you have to be patient with. We'll talk about the LSU recap. We did the film study. We'll tell you some good things that we saw, some things that have to be fixed this week against Ole Miss, or it's going to be a very tough one Saturday at 2:30. We'll look into both the recap and the preview to start off the show here tonight. Some things that I thought were just glorious. And guys, why I still think LSU is on the verge of being an 8-4 team. Can they get to 9 wins? Yes. Could they lose to somebody they're not supposed to? Also, yes. But they have it in them if they want to go grab it. They got 9 wins. They can do it. Carter, the Power Bryant, joins us 7:30 like he does every Monday. We'll break down the LSU Tigers. Something interesting, a note that Carter brought into the show a couple of weeks ago. Teams that have back-to-back road games in the SEC usually don't bode too well. Ole Miss has LSU away and Texas A&M. They're more than likely going to go 1-1 in one of those games. It's just history. It's repeating itself. And look, that line for LSU Ole Miss has changed so drastically as LSU opened up yesterday as a 2.5-point underdog. And now, at least as I was coming onto the show, maybe it changed, maybe it didn't. But as the last time I saw it, LSU is now at a 1.5 favorite over those Ole Miss Rebels. We'll talk about their weaknesses and strengths as well here tonight. SEC Week 7 recap. Guys, Saturday morning, we did the SEC show, and I mentioned it throughout the week. I did not like Mississippi State going to Kentucky, even though Mississippi State has the best defensive back in the country in Emmanuel Forbes. If you don't know who Emmanuel Forbes is, you need to go look him up. He's going to be a top 15 pick in this NFL draft, and if he doesn't, he's going to be the biggest steal of the draft. He's had 2 Derek Stingley type of seasons. Let me repeat that. He's had 2 Derek Stingley type of seasons, once when he was a freshman, and this year, I believe, he's right at 5 interceptions, had a pick 6 this week. We'll go around, obviously, Tennessee takes down Alabama. Got to admit, man, one of the best games that I remember watching during the regular season since LSU played Alabama in 2019 in Tuscaloosa. And we'll end it off the show. Joey Burrow did it again. Joey B did it again. Can't believe it. Me and Trey from GM Varno and Sons were there live at the game, and I looked at him and told him, it's like, look, man, Joey B, he's about to do it. Joe Burrow's about to do it. And he did. I see a lot of people asking about Ruffino's rants about Notre Dame. Darren says, LMAO at Notre Dame. Those fighting trees can be tough. How are you liking that dumpster fire, Brian Driscoll? Newsflash, your problem wasn't Brian Kelly. Bingo. Bingo. It was never Brian Kelly. It was never Brian Kelly. But they're not talking shit. What's funny is that people can talk all that trash, but then when their team's cheeks start getting clapped, they're speechless. They're speechless. Brian Kelly is 13-3 or 13-2 or 13-3 over the last 2 seasons so far combined. No, more than that. Shit, they're at 5 wins. So what they got? They had 11 wins when last season. So 16 wins, 3 losses. So the last 20 games of Brian Kelly's tenure as a head coach, he's 16-3. That's unreal, man. It's unreal, guys, that he's able to do that. 16-3 is Brian Kelly over the last 2 seasons so far. Let's see how the Tigers finish it out this year. Let's get to a couple comments, though, before we get started. Stephen Fry, a good friend over at Fry Construction, says, what's worse than a Bama fan? A fair weather LSU fan. Let BK do his thing. I'm not saying that this person's a fair weather fan, but did y'all see Barstool Mincy? We had him on the show last week. Said something ridiculously crazy like F LSU or something like that. As good as LSU fans have been to Barstool Mincy. Oh, Big, stop freaking out. Hell no. He rides the LSU coattails. I'll tell it to his face. I don't give a shit. Horse shit. Barstool's coming down to LSU, one of your employees. You don't have an LSU dude saying F LSU or something like that. I mean, I'll tell Mincy to his face. I could care less. I could care less. My point being is don't ride on the coattails, man. Don't ride on the coattails. Don't come here during baseball season saying, yeah, LSU is good. Yeah. You also said F them. Doug Ray says, Glenn, that will be raised within an hour. Why are you always so negative? Doug, I don't think that's the real Glenn Guilbeau, buddy. I think somebody is pulling your chain. The real Glenn Guilbeau would not be in here. Oh my God. I can't believe it. The mayor, who for weeks on top of weeks has been in this show saying, pull Jaden Daniels, start Garrett Nussmeier, has just commented on the show. JD5 coming alive. Look at you. Look at you. Tim Graves says, we don't give a shit. Hell no, we don't. Hell no. Hell yeah. Damn right. Hotty tighty, gosh almighty, who the heck are we? Hey, flam, flam, bam, bam. The Tigers are going to stick it up our ass by damn because you coming down to Baton Rouge. Pause. You want to talk to stuff? You want to run your mouth? All right now. Both can play that game. Andrew Paulson Martin says Mincy will be overshadowed by the presence of Dave Portnoy at Fred's anyway. Hey, I'm just messing with Mincy a little bit. I'm just messing with Mincy. It's all in good favor. Mayor says, ha, 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 I was wrong. Let's roll. Oh, okay. All right. Didn't apologize to us, though. Martin on Facebook says Josh Williams is a beast. That he is, man. You have to, look, bottom line is you got to love the character and the young man that Josh Williams is. His story is unreal of his path on how he's here. First 100-yard game, gets the game ball. Guys bust off a 51-yard run to start off the second half, breaking arm tackles, running dudes over for Florida. Really and truthfully, that's not even him having over 100 yards in my film study today, which we'll start to show off with. His 100 yards wasn't even the biggest part of his game on Saturday, in my opinion. It was what he was doing in pass blocking. Picking up guys, picking up linebackers, chipping the defensive ends. Brian Kelly talking about that today. You know, Emory Jones might get beat just a little bit. Here comes Josh Williams to chip the defensive end. He goes in the flat. He runs a linebacker over that's coming on a blitz. He absolutely depleted one of them. My point is this, guys. He's your best overall back right now. You know, good. You could say that about Marnie Goodwin. I wouldn't necessarily disagree, but as I've said on the show 1,000 times, the best ability is availability. Josh Williams is always there. He's old reliable, man. He's old reliable. You got to love the kid, and we love him here at AYS. All right, last one, then we'll get rolling. Paul Escon says, again, Savion over Ali Gay. Also, 40 can never, ever come off the field anymore. Never again. Yeah, I can't. I look, there's no real excuses. I'm not going to harp on it like some people do. I still think, though, Paul, I still think they're not trying to give Harold Perkins too much, right? Like, I still feel that they think that, they're giving him 3 assignments. Look, Harold Perkins is only doing 3 things when he's out in the field. Either he's going to go out in the flat, maybe in a mid-range coverage, he's going to rush the pass, or he's going to spy the quarterback. That's all Harold Perkins is doing. He's exceptional at that. Let him get up to speed. I promise you this. The coaching staff's not putting him in the game because they don't think he's the best linebacker on the team. I'll promise you that. I think their thing is with Harold is the game, is he going to bust assignment that breaks a long one? But the problem with that, though, is if that's the way that they're thinking, then what's the excuse for everybody else and you giving up 35 points to Florida? We'll get on. I promise you, the first thing that we're talking about. So listen, you guys know this as well as anybody. Uh-oh, Pooh. What you doing, dog? You coming up here all up in the show? What you eating?
I just got in football practice. Got me a little burger.
We don't care. What are you eating? You can't come up in the show having
it's
food.
Jack's.
You're eating a guy named Jack. What? You know that shit's funny. Don't play around with me. Yeah, Pooh Bear's a little bit late. His son, Dill Pickle had practice, right? Dylan had practice? Yeah. So Pooh's son had practice today. Baller, dude. Baller. Baller. You know I got to give Pooh Bear a hard time. He goes, I'm eating Jack's. Hold on. Pooh, I got it for you. Hold on, then we'll get rolling. Hold on. Here it is.
Pause.
Y'all have no idea
Pause.
how long I've been waiting to do that. I finally got you. I feel like Mick Foley at WrestleMania when he got the Rock and he goes, he did the it doesn't matter how it makes you feel at WrestleMania. That's how I feel right now. That's how I feel. Big MC says O-line looking good. Yeah, they are. They really are. We'll talk about them in the breakdown and the recap. All right, guys, let's do this. Let's get this thing rolling. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all of those Facebook groups. So many of you are watching this live right now here on Facebook. Stop, collaborate, and listen. Hit the like and share. Share to all of those social media groups. We appreciate you doing that for us. Also, if you missed it last week, you can hear it here tonight. We are trying to get to 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. We are going to do a $300 giveaway. If you subscribe, one lucky subscriber, no matter if you've already been subscribed or not, one lucky subscriber, maybe 2, will get $300 if we get to 5,000 subscribers by November the 1st. So subscribe, tell all of your buddies about it, tell all of your friends about it, family, everything, for your chance to win. If you get multiple people to do it, send it to us. We'll put your name more into that drawing for that giveaway. Also, if you're listening to us on TuneIn app, radio, wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, subscribe, all of that good stuff. We greatly, greatly appreciate you doing that. All right, let's get to our first break. Let's do this review. We did a lot of talking good things on the post game. They were warranted. Jayden Daniels, all the guys, they are warranted. We will talk about that. But a big concern I have after watching film, we'll talk about that next as we go into Ole Miss. We'll be right back in a minute. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50. That's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50 to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag. betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Vardo & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Varno & Sons. Go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992. 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Andrew Paulshub Martin says there's more people in this chat than the Broncos-Chargers game. Is it that bad? Are the Broncos that bad? Aren't they like 3-3 or 3-2, 4-2? I mean, 2-4 or 2-3? Okay. So they get 3-3 tonight. Pressure. All right, let's get this thing rolling, y'all. Let's get this thing started, y'all. Everybody do us a favor. Hit the like and share. Stop what you're doing. Hit the like and share. Lamar Williams, big pressure in the building, says, what concerns do you have? So let's get to that. I'll get to that in just a minute. Guys, I got to be honest. When you turn back on this film, when you rewatch this game, shout out to Jayden Daniels. There's no other way around it. Shout out to Kayshon Boutte. You know, I'll agree, and we talked about this on the post-game show, but me and him were texting during the game, or me and Blaine were. I mean, guys, when there was a lot of people in the media, a lot of fans, when Jayden Daniels hit Kayshon Boutte on that first time in the game, first quarter, first drive, a lot of people around the country said, oh, shit. Oh, shit. Here they go. And, guys, quite honestly, it didn't stop. You know the stats. You remember the game. Kayshon with 6 catches, over 100 yards. You have Brian Thomas Jr. that went off. The old reliable and Jaray Jenkins. Malik Neighbors was getting some touches. John Emery for the finally catching the ball out of the backfield multiple times throughout the game. One going for a touchdown. Josh Williams getting it going on the ground. Guys, the offense looked good. O-line struggled a little bit in areas, mostly on the right side, but they held their own and they did really well. I thought Charles Turner did really well. Guys, there's not a lot. Maybe outside of first and second downs. You know, LSU was in a lot of third downs this past Saturday night. They were able to convert them. Jayden Daniels, guys, went 8 of 9 on third down when throwing the football. That's not good. That is elite. Okay, let me say this again. Jayden Daniels going 8 for 9 for, I think, like close to 150 yards this past Saturday on third down is elite. I talk about on this show all the time. If you win third down, it's the money down. If you win third down, offense and defense, no matter what, you're going to win football games, and you're going to win a lot of them. What happened this past Saturday? Jayden Daniels went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs on third downs, trusting his receivers, throwing the guys, quick hitches to guys like Kyron Lacey, breaking a couple tackles, throwing with anticipation. Guys, it's always been there. It's always been there. And I think that for now, guys, now you know why Brian Kelly never even remotely came close to pulling Jayden Daniels and putting in Garrett. That's not to say Garrett Nussmeier's not going to be a good quarterback, that he's not extremely talented. Now that everybody's kind of calm and on neutral field, like everybody's kind of chill and cool with what the offense did. Guys, that's the type of game that we expect from Jayden Daniels. It's always been there. It has always been there. With that being said, his receivers helped him out. His O-line helped him out. His running backs helped him out. His scheme helped him out. Everything around him got better this past Saturday too. Not just him. Not just him. Now, can he and this offense be consistent in doing that? We'll see. I think that they can. Once you hit that pinnacle, once you hit that stage, once you're able to score 6 touchdowns in your opening 6 possessions, you can do it. Ole Miss defensively is not much better. Maybe statistically they are, but they're not much better than what you're going to see in Florida. What's interesting is of the top 10 teams in the country, The strength of schedule, who do you think has the hardest strength of schedule so far this season in the top 10 in the AP poll? It's number one of those teams. At 6th is Alabama. Alabama, too, so far has faced the toughest schedule in the SEC. You know who the dead last of the top 10 teams with the weakest strength of schedule has been? Ole Miss. My point in saying that is you have seen better defenses and better teams defensively than what Ole Miss has played so far. Vanderbilt doesn't have a better defense than Florida. I'll be really honest. Really and truthfully, I think up front in the front 7, Auburn and Florida are a lot alike in a lot of ways. You can do it. You can do it at 2:30 here this upcoming Saturday. If you have offensive performances like you did, you're not going to hear me bitch. There's nothing I can come in here and say. The only thing that we can do at this given moment is praise how good that they did. We can break the game down, and we will a little bit with Carter Bryant, things that they did well at 7:30. We can talk about all that. Truth is, scheme got better. And look, Brian Kelly was peppered today in his press conference about, hey, coach, you had a play call sheet. What was that about? I'm not saying he lied. He kind of fibbed. You could tell he was kind of like, yeah, just, I'm telling the coordinators this and that. No, he's doing what Saban would do. He's doing what Saban would do. This is where Brian Kelly makes his money. And he's making it. Guys, offensive, you saw the play sheet with Brian Kelly. Things on offense got a lot better, did it not? You put 2 and 2 together. I don't believe what he's saying. I believe he's got a lot of his hands along this offense, and you saw what happened. This isn't Les Miles. Oh, well, Blake Les has got his hands in the playbook. Orgeron's got his hands in the defense. Horseshit. Brian Kelly knows what he's doing. He's been a play caller. Was a play caller at Cincinnati. The best offensive year that Notre Dame had. Guess who had his hands all in the offense? Brian Kelly. You have a guy that's been there and done that. You remember those Cincinnati teams when they went undefeated, how great their offenses was. He was calling the plays there. He can do that. That's how good of a play caller he can be if need to be. Now, Mike Denbrock was calling a lot of the plays. He was calling all the plays. I'm not taking that away from him. The suggestions on what to do, the schematics on, hey, Mike, this is open. Mike calling the play to get it there. That's what great coaching does. Now, last week you ripped me alive, and rightfully so, when I said this coaching staff would never get out coached. They did not get out coached Saturday. They were exceptional. Here's the thing, though. And Pressure asked this question: what concerns do you have? You want to know the concerns that I have? You've given up 472 yards rushing defensively the last 2 weeks. Let me say that again. Guys, LSU defensively has given up 472 yards on the ground the last 2 weeks. Ole Miss is a really good football team running the football. They have really good offensive line. They have really good running backs. Their offensive line has shown over and over again that they can get pushed. Their quarterback can run. Jackson Dart, as Brian Kelly mentioned today, of the running quarterbacks that you've faced so far are dual threat type of quarterbacks. This guy that you're going to see Saturday is better than all of them throwing the football. That's not a shot at Anthony Richardson. He's more of a Jordan Travis than he is an Anthony Richardson. I would say that him and Jordan Travis have a lot of similarities. I still think Jackson is not as elite a runner as Jordan is, but he's damn sure as good of a passer as Jordan Travis is. That's the team you're going to see, or guy you're going to see, and there's going to be a lot of times he's just going to run quarterback power with him. Your front 7 defensively has got to step up. Now, does that mean you got to play Harold Perkins more? There's a lot of things you got to do. I don't know. I don't know. What I will say is your defense has not looked good in the front 7 last couple of weeks, and that's got to change. Because, guys, whatever you want to say about Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, they're a pass-first team. No, they're not. You better go pop in every film of them this year. They are a run, zone read, counter read first team. Everything that they do is based off the run game. And if your front 7 does not step it up and plays like they did the last 2 weeks, not only are you going to give up a lot of yards, you're going to give up a lot of points. I'm just being honest. The number 17 in the country is coming into town. I'm not trying to call out individual players, but however, Ali Gay, Jay Roy, Mekhi Wingo, BJ Ojolari, Tank Guillory, Micah Baskerville, Greg Penn, Harold Perkins, Mike Jones Jr., who? Guys, you got to step up. You have to step up this week. Honestly, it's the best team that you've played so far outside of Tennessee. They are extremely good offensively, and defensively, they can bust a grape. You got to be disciplined on both sides of the ball. You know, look, a lot of people make fun of Lane Kiffin. A lot of people talk trash about Lane Kiffin. The one thing Lane has shown, I think Lane has got a little bit more mature, and we've seen that Jeff Lebby, when he left Ole Miss to go to Oklahoma, Lane's offense didn't even slow down. They didn't miss a beat. Now, have they played anybody worth of shit outside of Kentucky? No. But like I said this, and a lot of people ripped me alive when I said this with Florida State. Remember when Florida State played Duquesne? Week 0. And I said, guys, 400 rushing yards is 400 rushing yards. And you got to be careful when a team, it doesn't matter if they're doing that on air. If a team can line up and rush for 400 yards against anybody, it's scary. They did it last week against Auburn. And you know, and I know that Auburn is not a pushover in the front 7. They're just not. The flip side of that coin is, as crazy as this may sound, Auburn had their will with Ole Miss and Ole Miss's defense. So as good as they've been defensively at times, Auburn was clapping those cheeks. The game is going to be one. Look, does LSU have to score points offensively? Sure, no doubt. Do they have to score 28 and above to probably win this game? Yes, no doubt. But I'm going to reemphasize what I said last week about Florida, and you got to do it here. Guys, if you run for over 150 rushing yards against Ole Miss, you're going to win. You're going to win. You got to stop them to below 150, though. Can you do that? I don't know. But they have 2 really good backs, a really good quarterback, and a really good play caller in their head coach. Okay, let's get to a couple comments. Carter Bryant in a minute. Ed Reeder says, hashtag Ask Blake, do you think naming KB7 game captain made any difference in his game attitude? No, it was his second game being a game captain. Look, I think, and thank you, Ed, for the $10 super chat. Look, of my opinion is that Kayshawn hears what you're saying. And he stepped it up. Look, I've been critical of Kayshawn, and here's the truth. Kayshawn deserved the critiques that he was getting. Guys, if any of you in here have had children, you know that second, third week after birth, it starts becoming a little bit of a relief. When your wife's pregnant, it's a tough time. When things start getting in rhythm, you might see that kind of Kayshawn Boutte. Look, and let me say this to Kayshawn too, man. Kayshawn, congratulations, brother. Congratulations. You did not fold and whimper like some would, and that some probably told you to do. Some ex-LSU football players that they told you what to do, you didn't listen to them. Good for you, young man. Some of you need to read between the lines. All right, last one, then we're getting to Carter. Ole Miss went from a 2-point favorite to a 1.5 dog. LSU is gaining some respect and confidence in Vegas. I'm old enough to remember the last time an undefeated top 10 Ole Miss team came to Baton Rouge. I remember that too. Lenny Fournette went off. What's interesting, though, Pooh, is 71% of the public's vote has voted Ole Miss or has bet Ole Miss, which is really weird because that means Vegas really thinks their LSU is probably a 3 or 4 point favorite. With the general public voting the way that they are, that's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong there, but I think it was a little bit interesting. Okay. You know what time it is. It's Monday at 7:30. It's time for the Smoothie Prince. if Carter the Bryant were a person, or a fictional character, he would be the Smoothie Prince comparison of the Targaryens on Game of Thrones and House of Dragons. Just is. Just is. All right, guys, let's take a quick break. Carter the Power Bryant next. Let's talk about Carol Falls over at State Farm. We return in 45 seconds with the GOAT of film studies. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with a great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. I'm going to tell you something, but I want to get to LSU very quickly. Carter the Power Bryant joining us. How did Will Anderson do this past Saturday?
I don't know. You tell me. You tell me.
He played like absolute dookie. Let me tell you something that I did not anticipate that you said. You picked Tennessee to win the East.
Yeah.
Their center is the best in the country. The Mays kid is the best center in the country, without question. We'll get to Tennessee in a minute, but I got to give you your props where props is due. You had them winning the East. I think a lot of people didn't believe you. Here we are. But let's get to one of their opponents in the East. LSU took on Florida and clapped some absolute cheeks. Offensively, you said something like you wanted to jump in a volcano full of eels after watching this offense. Just how great was it, brother?
Oh, it was great. It was really good, like you said. And shout out to Ed with the super chat a minute ago. Kayshawn, I mean, he's a story, right? You know, BTJ looked like an alpha out there. That was really good. And Dre did what he did versus Florida, what he normally does versus Florida. He tore him apart. But really, this game was about, you know, obviously Jaden, you know, playing better. But Kayshawn making the catches that he made early in the game to extend drives, Blake. And both of those throws were not good throws, right? He had to wait on the first one and then make a few guys miss. And I cannot stress enough, the most impressive play that any LSU player made was Kayshawn's second catch on the drive.
You're talking about the one that he got kind of sandwiched.
Yes, that is one of the best catches I've ever seen an LSU player make because of a few different reasons, Blake. The first thing is the ball came out of Jaden's hand
wobbly.
It wasn't just a wobble. It was a very weird wobble. If let's just say like you watched the ball in midair and you didn't see the quarterback throw it, you would have guessed it was deflected, but that's how the ball actually just came out of his hand.
Right.
And it is hard to catch a football like that. That ball is sputtering. It is spiraling. It is, and you're having to wait on it and you get massacred. I mean, he got destroyed and his helmet snapped on the turf. So number one, making the catch. Number two, continuing to play at a high level like he did, breaking all the tackles like he did. And like you said a minute ago, Blake, this is a guy that is going to be a first-round pick. You know, it's going to take a lot for him to just completely fall off a cliff here, which is just not going to happen. He has early breakout age in his favor. He's got so much in his favor. And he put his whole body on the line for us. And that showed me a lot. And this is coming from someone last week that started to wonder, hey, maybe Kayshawn should be featured less in this offense because the other receivers were quite frankly playing better than him up to this point. And this past week, he just said, look, I'm that dude. I am the best receiver in college football that everyone was calling him before the season. And this game to me was about him and how great and locked in he looked. And I give BK a lot of credit, giving him the captaincy and playing the way that he did showed me. He didn't have anything to prove to me or anybody here, but it showed me a lot. And, man, it was really, really special.
I think BK showed everybody why we need to calm down. You know, like this is still a first-year transition. I mean, even with Jaden Daniels. And, look, Carter, to be holistically honest, I said this last week and live on this show. They are so close to busting it wide open. And I think that me and you had that conversation. And just a sense of, Carter, you can't have that many drops. Look, everything's going wrong. Okay, at some point, you're not going to drop the football, and things are just going to go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And Jayden was hitting his stride. And look, were some of those wobblers? Yes, but they were there. You know what? Talking about Kayshawn very quickly, you know what the best catch to me was? I agree with you. But, man, the third down slant where he caught it across from his body and then had it he kind of went back and then up.
Yeah.
Buddy, we're down 21-14, right? Like, you don't get that third down. And what's crazy is, Carter, they're running cover 3. Okay, like the worst coverage that you could be doing in that specific scenario, he threw it and Kayshawn made a play. You can ask the people who were here. I came out my chair. I'm like, it's a horrible read, but it's a fantastic play. But Jayden was in rhythm. I want to ask you about this. I was not able to watch all of your film study. Maybe the first 5 minutes. I apologize. I got to go back and watch it. To me, this is why Jayden knows what he's doing. Carter, they ran a lot of cover 3 all night long. Seeing the Kayshawn Boutte that was a little underthrown, it was okay that it was a little underthrown. Kayshawn would have gotten blasted. The biggest pass to me on this and how I knew Jayden knew what he was reading and seeing, the Cole Taylor seam. Because you know and I know when it's a cover 3, that inside seam is the best thing that you can do. He was just on point, was Jayden Daniels. When you broke down this film and what I just said, did you see a lot of the cover 3, a lot of those same things as well?
Yeah, that's what Florida did a lot of versus Missouri. And I'm just going to throw this out here, and it's not a shot. It's fine. But you got this a lot on your channel. This was actually some of the most hate I've ever gotten as a YouTuber, right?
Talking about Jayden.
Well, it's actually not about Jayden. It's about Corey Raymond, right?
Oh, God, he deserves it.
And the here's the truth, okay? Here's the truth. When I did a video at the time saying, look, Corey was a great coach at LSU. He's going to recruit well at Florida, which is what he's doing now. But the train's going to keep moving. It's okay. You want it to go somewhere else, and LSU might have wanted to go their own ways. It's not the end of the world. It wasn't. And once again, a Corey Raymond secondary is not playing well. Okay, I just wanted to point that out, right? Because you got it, I got it. But people treated that as if it was a doomsday scenario.
Agreed.
And look, our secondary has a lot of work to do. It's not playing well, and we'll probably talk about that in a second. But I just wanted to point that out really quickly. Now, to your point about Jayden Daniels, the throw to Cole was really good. That was one of the first throws we've seen Jayden throw where Cole wasn't quite completely open yet, but all his cleats were planted into the ground, and the spiral was tight. Now, just because a spiral is tight or not tight doesn't mean if a throw is good or not good. But that time, the ball came out confidently. He wasn't fading away. He was stepping up into it. And a lot of that also has to do with number 66 being back in the lineup. And I was really happy to see him get credit for being the SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week, Will Campbell. That was huge. That was absolutely huge. So, for me, Blake, huge step forward for Jayden, and hopefully that continues versus Ole Miss this weekend. That, let's be honest, they're not being coached well defensively. Tony, I think, in the SEC might be a little over his head. Corey Raymond secondary, once again, for the third consecutive year. I'll defend Corey with some of the schemes from the past couple of years, but this is the third. These are just the facts. This is the third consecutive year a secondary under Corey Raymond's tutelage has looked disheveled. It's
getting roasted like a marshmallow during a s'mores marathon. Call it like it is.
They're not playing well. They are not playing well at all. So, for me, let's see what happens versus Ole Miss. Another defense that had a rough weekend this past weekend in the SEC. And one thing that's very interesting about Ole Miss is, like LSU, they've had no bye weeks up to this point. So this is a defense that is going to also be tired, kind of like what the LSU defense is right now.
Look, I can't really, Carter. I mean, we could talk in all the live long day about the offense, and maybe we should. I'll ask you one more question, and then we'll get to defense because it's where I want to spend a lot of our time here tonight. Because, look, You can't get much better than 6 straight drives and 6 touchdowns. There's just not a lot you can break down. Third down, they were fantastic. They might need to get better on first and second down to make those third downs a little bit more manageable. But look, man, third down is the money down. Josh Williams, inject his whatever he does, Carter pass blocking. I honestly thought, yes, he went for 100 yards rushing. Yes, he had the 51-yard carry. Yes, he broke a lot of arm tackles. That's not what I was most impressed by him by. Pass blocking was the chips. Look, I love number 50 more than anybody, and I love Emory Jones more than anybody. He got work sometimes, and then here came Josh Williams to decleat some people. Brother, you feed off of stuff like that. He just gives you what you need. Like every time, if you notice in press conferences, anytime Brian Kelly is asked about Josh Williams, he gives that little Boston smirk, like smart talk, Josh Williams. He loves talking about the young man.
Yeah, it reminds him a lot of Kyron Williams at Notre Dame, right? Just a really gritty back. And look, Josh Williams just got better. It's rare that you see a player improve this much. And this is a former walk-on that you should cheer for. And look, this is one thing the LSU offense has been missing is broken tackles from their running backs.
Yes.
And I think Josh Williams is starting to kind of become that guy along with John Emery. John's playing really well right now.
He's running hard. Carter, when he caught that pass for the touchdown, I squealed like a little girl.
Let's go. I love it, man. I love that John's getting this shine. He's starting to give you some 5-star level production. He was my highest rated player versus Tennessee and on offense. And, John's playing really well. So, that's huge when you have a running back that's actually going out there and breaking tackles. And what makes it interesting is LSU blew the assignment. Florida had their best defensive tackle, Javon Dexter.
Unblocked. Did he not come unblocked?
Yeah, he was unblocked. He was sitting right there. The play was poorly blocked. And that was one of the instances where LSU's running backs created the play on their own. It wasn't a perfectly blocked play. And that is a play caller's dream, right? The play's not executed well, but the players still go out there and get it done. And yes, Florida's defense is tired. Yes, they're thin. Yes, they may not be that good, but a broken tackle is still a broken tackle, especially considering
in the SEC.
In the SEC, especially considering that was early in the third, and they had just gotten out of the halftime break. So everybody's fresh, everybody's ready to go. It's about as even as you possibly can be in that spot. And Josh just set the tone. That was absolutely big.
All right, I want to spend a lot of my time here, okay? Because look, we talk so much offense, and we talk so much about how Paul Jayden starting us. I'm not going down that route because it's too easy. Carter, I want this team to win. And look, I don't know how you feel about Ole Miss, but I'm going to tell you this: they make me so nauseous in thinking about them because of how our front seven's playing against the run. Carter, our defensive line is getting beat. This is 2 straight weeks. They've given up a total of 472 yards on the ground. It's not as if the Tennessee or Florida did something miraculous in the running game. They are lining up and punching you in the face. It is a massive concern. I have a massive concern about this front seven right now. And I know I'm not crazy on this one, but in your film study, what are you seeing?
Some of it's scheme, right? The Montrell Johnson run was not a great
slant to wide side of the field or something like that.
Yeah. So it was a pitch to the left, and you overload blitz to the opposite side of the strength, and that could leave your defense very, very, very exposed. And that's what happened, right? And honestly, the Anthony Richardson run just sucked. I mean, it's inexcusable stuff. It's legit. A coach will go crazy if you see that many broken tackles. But Savion Jones was held on the play. I don't care. Okay. Still got to bring Anthony Richardson down in that spot. You're not, like BK said, you're not going to strip the football in that spot. And something else that it's really big right there is you want to force the other team's offense to execute in the red zone. So let's take the Anthony Richardson missed tackle. Just bring him down. Just bring him down. Because an 80-yard touchdown run is obviously way worse than making them have to execute inside of the 20 when the field compresses, right? The book on Florida is they're an explosive play offense, and they continued that versus LSU. They break a lot of tackles. They get a lot of deep passes. And look, you don't really sometimes understand how good a player is unless he's just out. Major Burns is a really good football player. He's a really freaking good football player. And LSU has been missing the daylights out of number 28. He plays with a lot of heart. You can tell this means a lot to him being from Baton Rouge. And LSU has not really been the same since he's been out of the lineup. So
especially in run fits.
So, a rough game for Jay Ward. Obviously, Converse gets beat for the second time on a deep pass. Was that entirely his fault? Should he have had safety up over the top? No, it wasn't entirely his fault, but still, this has got to get cleaned up. Now, this is a big question. Should you panic about Matt House? Should you panic about the defense adjusting? And the answer to that is maybe. Defenses are tired right now, Blake. They're tired, okay? Look at the SEC. You weren't the only team this past weekend that had their, in your words, claps cheeked over the past weekend. This was one of the highest scoring weekends.
Cheeks clapped, you mean?
Claps cheeked. Cheeks clapped.
Cheeks clapped.
But
you put the adjective before the verb.
Yeah, I know. Fail English. That's what
my mom has never been more proud as an English teacher. Continue.
I know. That's what a 2.7 GPA gives you. And I graduated in journalism, right?
Oh, man. I graduated and I got to get the shit up out of here. It's too much money.
But yeah, you do worry about the explosive play thing. You do worry about fatigue. And here's the thing, right? Ole Miss has got the best set of running backs right now in the SEC. They are really, really, really good. Their offensive line is really, really, really good. And Lane is really, really, really good. So hopefully this defense gets better.
Carter, the problem I have with so here's the thing. It's a double-edged sword because I think two things can be true at the same time, right? Number one, I agree with you. I do think that they're limping and need to get to the bye week. I know everybody's laughing, saying Carter tried in the comments. I see it. Okay. Number one, I agree with you. I think that they're tired. Here's the problem I have with that. So is the offensive line too, right? Like Osiris Torrance wasn't there this week. He's their best offensive lineman, and you still got pushed around up front. Yeah. That is my issue. Okay. Look, when I pop in the I think it's Wheels on YouTube, when I just like on the way to work or I'm sitting there for lunch and I'm watching it and I'm watching 99 and 18 get pushed around, it's things I do not like to see. I agree with you on this. I think it's scheme on Matt House's part, and I think he's trying a little too much when things go wrong. Here's the thing. Here's what I think ultimately is going on. When they get tired, they're reverting back to their old ways under Orgeron. Am I wrong?
I agree. No. You're right. You're right. And I do think, well, let me put it this way. Harold Perkins was really good for us this past weekend. He had another great game.
Agreed.
Right. Baskerville still led the team in tackles. Outside of that, linebacker is a major position of liability. Right now.
Do you think Greg Penn's been a little bit of liability, a bit of a liability?
Yes.
Okay.
It's been a rough couple of weeks for them, and something else. It's for him in particular. But I don't ever like to just single out just one person.
I understand that.
But everybody's got to play better, right? And I know it's like a coach's kind of thing, whatever. And when you do film studies, you do say this person, that person, and the mistakes do get begin to get piled up, and everybody's playing hard. Also, something else, Blake, that is very important to keep in mind is a lot of these guys are playing a lot of special teams reps, and it gets exhausting when you only have a certain amount of scholarship guys. I know that's an excuse, but it's just, a reality of the situation that LSU is in right now. And look, that part of the game has got to get better as well. I do think this is true as well, Blake, as far as like defense is concerned, is I do think this is typical, right? When teams get more film on who you are defensively, it does begin to get a little bit more difficult for you as a play caller, because
Agreed.
a big reason why Matt was having so much success is he was getting very exotic. And look, give him
They
credit.
were exotic Saturday too, to some extent.
Yeah, and the basketball blitz was really clutch.
Even the Jay Ward, I know that it was a penalty, but Carter, was that not? I mean, it was really exotic.
And it was the same pressure that Greg Brooks got home on versus Tennessee. And
right.
Look, I like Matt a lot. He has been really, really, really good for LSU. This happens though, and I do think one thing is very key. While we do talk about the defensive struggles, and Brian Kelly does stress the importance of tackling, this is modern football. This is an offensive game. It's just how it is now. You're going to have weeks where your defense looks like absolute dog crap. This is normal, right? So, I said before the year began that going Napier Lane, and before that, Heupel. And I was obviously, really high on Tennessee before the year began. They were number 2 on my SEC power ratings, on behind Alabama. I circled this part of the LSU schedule as a brutal stretch.
It is.
And Billy's done a great job coaching up that offense. They have done these are 2 really good offenses that you've played in a row. And now you're getting arguably the best play caller of the 3 in a row. Now, here's the thing. The good thing is LSU's offense is playing better, and you feel better about them in a shootout in that spot. The next big thing, though, for me. No. What happened?
I'm just getting my phone.
Oh, you startled me.
Listen, she's going to come in there and get her phone.
Yeah, you got to get that phone.
Shit about it. Do you hear me? I'm coming here to get my phone.
Now because my door my door's kind of messed up. I just heard a bong.
Dude, I heard it. I was like, oh shit, he done fucked up. He left the toilet seat up. That's what I thought.
Well, this actually happened this weekend, and no.
The toilet seat up this weekend?
No. Even worse. Even worse. So Simper was in here. There was a lot of so I did the post game live stream. From the hotel room, right? And we were in Chicago this past weekend.
Yeah.
And I look at the thermostat, and the thermostat was like right next to where we were, and it was hot. I felt like a rotating piece of chicken at a gas station at 3 p.m. Okay. And Simper knows exactly what happened. So I looked, and the thermostat was on 83 degrees.
Oh, hell no.
I wanted to pack up a catch a red eye to New Orleans for the Saints-Bengals game. I wanted to leave. I look, it's 83. We're in a hotel room. There's no electricity bill. There's 83 degrees. But yeah, she'll barge into a live stream. She don't care.
I'm trying to get my phone.
Don't get my phone, man. The Snapchat from her friend Michelle could not have waited. It could not have waited. But yeah, I love her to death. But if I hear another Harry Styles song, I'm going to go crazy.
How was it? You like it very quickly? Was it okay?
Yeah. Oh, Harry Styles is great. It was a great show. What was crazier was I got to see Chris Rock. My bucket list. He was my bucket list.
Really?
Yeah, I got to see Rock.
Will Smith there.
Well, you know what's funny, and this is what makes Rock so good, is he did like
he did like a joke about it.
He did like 3 minutes on it. He didn't he could have hammed it up and did an hour just on that. Yeah. Man, he was phenomenal. But yeah, the whole weekend in Chicago was great. The deep dish pizza was a little overrated. A little overrated.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Carter the Power Bryant.
No. I love deep dish. Deep dish is the best kind of pizza there is, but a little overrated. A little.
Rotisserie Carter is your new nickname. You had Smoothie Prince, now you're rotisserie chicken Carter, I guess, is your new is your new nickname. Carter, let's get to Lane Kiffin really quickly in this Ole Miss team. Brother, they give me the bubble guts. I hate to say it like that. They just do. I think, look, a lot of people credited Jeff Lebby, and they should have, with the offense that they had with Matt Corral. I call horseshit after what we've seen. I think that that's always been Lane.
Yeah.
Buddy, they run the football at a very high level. If you put too many in the box, they're going to hit you with a quick slant. They're going to hit you with a quick hitch, and then they're off the road, off to the races with Mingo. And if you drop out in the box, which nobody's really done in them, which is a little wild, they've played a little off of them. I'm interested to see what happens if a team covers the box on Ole Miss, what Lane can do. Can Jackson Dart throw them to a win? It's the best chance that LSU has is maybe to guard the box a little bit and make Jackson Dart beat him through the air. That's
what I would do, right? Like, I would play.
That's exactly what I would do, Carter. I'm with you.
Yeah, the one thing, man, they're so good at hitting explosive runs, and this is, I mean, some of the best backs Lane has ever had. They actually are big-time difference makers. And Quinshon Judkins, what a great name for a true freshman back. The kid can really play. Zach Evans can really play. And look, they've gotten, some good wide receiver play from Malik Heath and Jonathan Mingo as well. Lane's a really good play caller. It's all there is to it. He sequences things really well. A lot of his offense complements each other really, really, really well. He does a good job of giving you a bunch of different looks, but he'll give you a lot of the same looks, but run different plays out of those looks, which confuses defenses even more. Agreed. So, man, he's just elite. He's one of the best play callers we've ever seen in the sport, and we're seeing what he's able to do with Ole Miss. So, yeah, you should be getting your bubble guts here because Lane is really, really, really special.
All right, we do have a Glizzy question for you to wrap the show up. So don't let me forget that about the Glizzy.
Let's do it.
All right, last one about Ole Miss. I want to get to Tennessee with you really, really quickly. Tennessee and Alabama. Carter, how do you think this game matches up with LSU and Ole Miss? Do you think that because the line has moved so significantly, number one, why do you think that is, and how do you think LSU matches up?
Yeah, so I saw you listing the stats earlier about, sharp money, even though the public is all in on Ole Miss.
Yeah, 71% to start the show picked Ole Miss.
So let's take a look at Ole Miss, at a bird's eye view, if you will, right? Like, they've played one good team up to this point, and that is Kentucky, right? I hammered the Ole Miss over-under preseason win total pretty quickly.
It was 7 or 8?
Yeah, it was 7. And man, that I was like, okay, they got the softest schedule. Toughest team in their first 7 weeks is going to be at home versus Kentucky. Georgia Tech sucks. Vanderbilt sucks, and the Kentucky win was actually pretty flawed. There was a lot of things that a lot of breaks went Ole Miss. Honestly, all the breaks went in Ole Miss's favor in that game. Injuries, bad calls, touchdowns here or there. And, the Ole Miss looked very beatable in that spot. And I think part of that is, LSU's played far better teams than Ole Miss has up to this point. Also, Ole Miss's defense, they had a lot of transfers, right? A lot of people talk about, LSU's defense has a lot of transfers. Ole Miss lost a lot on their defense. I don't think that they have this Sam Williams type of difference maker up front like they had in years past with Williams on that defensive line. I still think they're a good unit. Charlie Partridge, obviously, has had a good, first couple of games here, first half of the season here with Ole Miss. But I think that's part of it. And, LSU playing at home and, Brian Kelly is starting to get this team to play better football. So I don't know exactly what that thing is. I'm still a little early in my own evaluations as well. And hopefully LSU is able to get it done.
I got to admit, You were wrong. I was right. Tennessee is fantastic. Anywho, no, okay, seriously. I'm not surprised that they beat Alabama. I did not pick Tennessee to win because look, I've got to a point where I'm just not gonna look. Everybody knows it would have been an emotional take, okay? Because look, Saban's still Saban. They only lost by 3 on the road. They're still a really good team, brother. Tennessee, and listen, I came up with this crazy scenario. People have been telling me I'm crazy and I'm stupid all week for saying this, bro. If Tennessee loses to Georgia and Alabama wins out, and Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC title game, and you have 3, one-loss SEC teams, it's really hard for me to tell you to keep Tennessee out.
Yeah.
Because at that point, they beat the SEC East or the SEC champ. Tennessee's so good, but in reference to the game, man, they were getting look, the Dallas Turner, what do you call that? The scoop and score, the Kool-Aid McKinstry. They got some breaks and they fought back and they won. Tell me that wasn't the funnest game that you had seen since LSU Bama 2019, because it was for me.
Oh yeah, I mean that was the best SEC game you can really even imagine, right? It was good, seeing what they were able to do. Now, what's funny is if you go check out Power Hour SEC, my new SEC channel, the final kick actually shouldn't have counted. There was a missed call there at the end.
What was it?
Well, you got to go to check out the video to see.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I'm kidding. I know. I'll let people know. They just got to promise they got to go check out the video.
Go to the channel. No, go to the channel.
No. I'm going to say the kicker committed a false start penalty, and they didn't call it. Yeah, it was very slight. But a former NFL kicker actually, is
the one that pointed it out.
Yeah. Well, I saw it, and then I was like, let me see if anyone else is talking about this. I was like, oh, a former NFL kicker was like, that was a false start.
What's so wild is, remember Terrence Cody with Lane Kiffin and blocked that kick?
Oh yeah.
I was a lot like, man, is this how it's going to happen again? They're going to go into overtime and lose.
Yeah.
God, that would have been crazy. But continue.
Yeah. Like, look, I was really high on Tennessee before the year, right? I've gotten a lot of messages. How did you know what pointed out? Well, they do the most important thing in football, which is score points, and they have a huge yard per play average.
You deserve a clap for that.
Yeah, that's it. Heupel is a very forward thinker, right? He spaces you out, and it's just tough. It's really, really tough to guard them. And look, what a great way to look at it is, LSU was like, look, we can't even put our best player on the field because we think he's going to get schemed out,
And look, he kind of got schemed out a little bit to some extent last week. Look,
yeah.
When you're throwing the football, look, they're giving Harold as an example, Carter. They're giving him 3 things. And that's what makes Josh Heupel so good, when you got to take your best player off because of that.
Yeah. And as you point out, the kick was partially blocked. So the reason why that false start was so key is he got a quicker run up to the kick because of it. And if he didn't, that block would have probably been a little bit more flush because the ball barely made it over the post. So, as you know, Blake, playing on the line, I'm sure you've done field goal blocks before. In order to really block a kick, and because there's a lot of kicks that actually go through that get a little tip. Pause. That pause. I wanted to get it before Pooh Bear came in on the pause.
Oh, he was coming.
Yeah, pause. I knew he was. I knew he was ready.
Pooh comes all night long. He comes with it.
Yeah. Pause. But still, the ball was partially blocked, and it would have changed it. The false start changed the outcome of that play.
Agreed.
So, it was very key, but more so than just that. Hendon Hooker's a magician. Bryce Young is a magician. You're very lucky to see, that quarterback duel between 2, SEC greats. And Hooker is now, the favorite to win the Heisman. It's his to lose now. If he continues to play well, if he beats Georgia, it's pretty much locked up, quite honestly. So, man, great game. Obviously, part of why I picked Tennessee before the year is that they did return so much offensively. I love the Brew McCoy transfer, and they're doing this without Cedric Tillman, which is, truly incredible. So Give Heupel a lot of credit. Give Hendon Hooker a lot of credit. And like you said, Cade Mays, give that offensive line a lot of credit as well.
Mays the best center in the country. Write it down. He's
good.
Kelsey 2.0. All right, Carter. He is. Dude, they're the same height and weight.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Same height and weight. You want to hear something even weirder? So with centers, this is so stupid. I look into GPA scores. Same GPA.
Oh wow, that's cool.
3.79. Yeah, it's kind of freaky, but look, there was a play, and look, Alabama runs a lot of stunts. It's Pete Golden's calling card, and he does it with Will Anderson. They were so inconfident in their guard play, Tennessee was, that they were sending Mays to whatever side that Will Anderson was on, and he was clapping him all night long. Look, I'm going to tell you this. Will Anderson better come with it now, because Mays was knocking him in the dirt, Carter. Go back and watch it, dude.
I'm going to go look at this a little bit closely.
Look, I'll screen record it and send it to you. Mays was clapping them cheeks. Look, after the second time, Will Anderson didn't want nothing of it. I'm telling you, I was proud of him. Of it. But I say that, watch Will Anderson have 77 sacks the remainder of the season.
I'm going to give you one thing really quickly, though.
Okay.
As far as LSU's rest of the schedule is concerned, KJ Jefferson had another great game for Arkansas. I mean, he is truly carrying this team, and they are a completely different team with him healthy. LSU still has him coming up. So you see, it's a murderer's row. You got all these different types of quarterbacks that are athletic and they're good. And man, he's truly, truly special as well. So it's going to be a tough couple of weeks ahead for LSU. And Blake, we'll see you next week, man. Peace.
Thanks, buddy. You know I love you, and you're my favorite. We'll see you next week.
See you, bud.
All right, that's Carter the Power Bryant. Let's do this. Let's end it with this. Let's get to one last break, and then we'll get out of here. None better than the good friends over at Gramco. Guys, return in 45 seconds to close it out. Guys, I've got to talk to you about our good friends over at Gramco. They are the Delta 8 company based out of the state of Florida. They're founded by college football junkies just like you and I am not sure if you're familiar with Delta 8, but you need to be. Gramco is the absolute leader in this field, and they have phenomenal products that I just need to tell you about. First off is the Wake and Bake coffee that is absolutely spectacular. The gummies are as well, as they're the best in the market. So go to thegramco.com right now and use the promo code AYS25. That's thegramco.com, AYS25 promo code to get 25% off of your order. Jump on this fast, as it is perfect for holidays, anniversaries, and everyday use. Gramco is hemp-derived and completely legal inside of the state of Louisiana. No medical card is needed, and shipping is very discreet. You must be 21 years older to order. Again, that's thegramco.com. Use that promo code AYS25. I forgot to ask Carter about, did he eat a Chicago glizzy? Andrew Paul's Hub wanted to know how many Chicago glizzies he scarfed down. But he says, see you. Thanks, everyone. Stroud is a great pick as well, but Hendon will be everything in his favor if he beats UGA. I agree with that. Let's end it here. We'll talk a lot of SEC this week. I thought Auburn, look, it's only a matter of time before Harsin's gone, if he hasn't already been internally told he's been gone, which some believe that he has been already told internally that he's not going to be back next season. Look, I think Mississippi State is who they were, but it comes down to, what does Ole Miss do this week? Can Alabama rebound? Does LSU take a step forward with Brian Kelly? And the ultimate matchup will be Georgia and Tennessee in a couple of weeks. Tennessee's got, I think, UT Martin this week, Pooh? I think they got UT Martin this week, and then they have Georgia or somebody else, and then Georgia. It comes down to that game. Tennessee can do it. I want to end it with this, though. When can we – hold on. What's this dude's name? Stephen A. Smith. Yeah, come on the show then, Stephen, with your Daniel hairline. Says, can Gramco help with my bald or my male pattern baldness? Maybe. I do love that. Speaking of Gramco, here they are. They say, thanks for the shout out. We love our Tiger friends. Look at that, baby. Look at that, Stephen A. Go to thegramco.com. Use that promo code AYS25, brother. God, Gramco is so fantastic. Let me end it here. Guys, I was in the Dome. yesterday. Look, the Saints are bad. It is what it is. Your record indicates who you are. They're a bad football team. They're older. They're getting older. You traded probably your best DB for a packet of ketchup and a Chick-fil-A, Chick-fil-A sauce, a Raising Cane sauce. Look what C.J. Gardner-Johnson did last night against the Cowboys and Cooper Rush. Bottom line is if anybody should have known what Joe Burrow can, should, will do, it should have been Dennis Allen. Not because you watch more film than everybody, but, bro, you've been in this state. You know exactly who Joe Burrow is. Settling for field goals, not going for it. Look, I get it, but Joe Burrow is him. Joe Burrow is him. You can get mad at me, Saints fans, all you want to. Dennis Allen is not a successful head coach. He wasn't at the Raiders. He isn't right now. He isn't. You can blame quarterback play. You can blame a lot of things. You had chances to win, and you folded. I'm not calling for Dennis Allen's job. I'm not calling for his head. I don't like doing that a lot until it fully warrants it. It took me probably 8 weeks too late to call for Paul Mainieri to say, look, man, there needs to be a change. And ultimately, you saw what they had in Jay Johnson. When you hire from within, you better not miss. You better not miss. Keeping Pete Carmichael was a mistake. It was a mistake. It's going to continue to be a mistake. Now you know why the Saints did everything they could for Jameis Winston. For Deshaun Watson. Sex scandal and everything. Because they knew that Jameis wasn't going to be ready. They knew that he was going to be injury prone. They knew something. You go and get a backup in the Red Rocket and Andy Dalton. You're making bad decisions. Your best quarterback is not even playing after Taysom Hill went off the following week. Literally the week before Taysom Hill went off, guys, he didn't get enough touches. Mike Thomas isn't playing. Jarvis Landry isn't playing. Guys, you're not that good. The Saints are just not that good. You can say whatever you want. You can get mad. They're not playing like a good team. They are not a playoff team. You hired a coach that went 8-28, I believe. Off the top of my head, I don't know Dennis Allen's record with the Raiders, but I'm pretty sure it was 8-28. And you expected him to come here with Sean Payton's tutelage and have success. He didn't. He's not going to. Not right now. You wanted him. You got him. He said he didn't. The Saints didn't trade Marcus Williams. You get what I mean. You get what I mean. Marcus Williams wasn't here. I mean, you went through, and you know what I mean. You went through spring or training camp a little bit with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Come on. Tyrann Mathieu, love him to death. He's playing horrible. He's playing horrible. Morgan Phillips says Mathieu has definitely lost his step. I hate to say that. Chase ran right by him. Yes. But you should have known that Joe Burrow is him. Is what it is. All right, guys, we'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a good night. Peace out, Girl Scouts. We'll see you soon.